The day the aliens came to Earth started like any other. The sun rose over Washington, D.C., traffic jammed the streets, and people rushed to work with coffee in hand. No one expected their world to change forever. Captain Olivia Warren sat in her office at the United Earth Defense Force headquarters. Her desk was covered with reports about satellite upgrades and training schedules. At 42, she had spent half her life in military service. Her short brown hair was starting to show gray, and the lines around her eyes told stories of hard decisions made under pressure. The emergency alarm blared suddenly. Red lights flashed in the hallway. Olivia jumped to her feet, knocking over her coffee mug. The hot liquid spread across her papers, but she didn't care. "Captain Warren to the command center immediately," the voice on the speaker said. She ran through the halls, passing soldiers who looked just as confused as she felt. When she reached the command center, she found General Frank Peterson staring at the main screen. His face was pale. "Sir, what's happening?" she asked. He pointed at the screen without speaking. Olivia looked up and felt her heart stop for a second. A ship, clearly not from Earth, was hovering over the Atlantic Ocean. It was shaped like a giant teardrop, silver and smooth, with no visible windows or doors. "It appeared 20 minutes ago," the general finally said. "No warning. Nothing on our radar until it was right there." "Have they made contact?" Olivia asked. As if in answer to her question, a voice came through the speakers. It didn't sound human, too musical, with strange pauses between words. "People of Earth, we come in peace. Request meeting with leaders. We'll land in 1 hour at these coordinates." The coordinates appeared on screen, pointing to an open field not far from the White House. "Captain Warren," General Peterson said, "you're our best diplomat with combat training. I want you to lead the welcome team." Olivia nodded, though her mouth went dry. She had trained for many things, but first contact with aliens wasn't one of them. 2 hours later, she stood in a field surrounded by soldiers, scientists, and government officials. The alien ship had landed exactly when promised. No one spoke as they waited for something to happen. Finally, a door appeared in the smooth metal surface and slid open. A ramp extended to the ground. A figure emerged, walking slowly down the ramp. The alien called Zixtora looked almost human except for the blue tint to its skin and eyes that were too large. It wore what seemed like flowing robes made of a material that shifted colors in the sunlight. "I bring greetings from the Galactic Council," it said, its voice clear despite the strange accent. "I am Ambassador Zixtora." Olivia stepped forward. "I am Captain Olivia Warren on behalf of Earth, welcome." The meetings lasted for days. Zixtora explained that the Galactic Council had been watching Earth for decades. They had seen humans develop technology at a rate that worried them. Now they had come with a warning, or rather a command. Olivia sat in the conference room as the alien displayed holographic images of space. "These are the boundaries of your allowed space," Zixtora said, pointing to a sphere that barely extended past Pluto. "You must remain within this area. Your technological advancement must slow down. The Council has decided humans are too dangerous to join galactic society without these limits." President Susan Miller leaned forward. "And if we refuse?" Zixtora's large eyes blinked slowly. "The Council has ways to enforce its rules. We hope it will not come to that." Later that night, Olivia met with Major William Carter from Military Intelligence. They sat in a secure room speaking in low voices despite knowing it was soundproof. "The President wanted me to tell you," William said, sliding a folder across the table. "We've detected unknown objects at the edge of our solar system. Been there for years, apparently. We think they're monitoring stations." Olivia opened the folder and studied the grainy images. "They've been watching us all this time?" William nodded. "And there's more. Our best scientists have analyzed some of the technology Zixtora brought. We're not as far behind as they want us to believe." "What does that mean for us?" "It means they're scared of us, Olivia." William's voice dropped even lower. "They see something in humans that worries them. Our adaptability, maybe, our creativity, our stubbornness." The United Earth government met an emergency session for 3 days. Olivia attended as military advisor. The debate was heated. Some wanted to accept the council's terms for safety. Others argued for defiance. In the end, they voted to officially accept the terms but secretly prepare to break them. Dr. Alan Russell, head of the Physics Research Center, presented his plans for an improved, faster-than-light drive. "With proper funding and secrecy, we can have a working prototype in 5 years," he said. His eyes shone with excitement behind his glasses. "And weapons?" someone asked. "Defense systems are already being adapted based on what we've learned," Olivia explained. "Major Carter's team is working on reverse engineering some concepts." When the meeting ended, President Miller pulled Olivia aside. "Captain Warren, I'm promoting you to oversee our new space defense program. This stays absolutely secret. As far as the council knows, we're being good little humans staying in our corner of space." "And if they find out?" Olivia asked. The president's face hardened. "Then we better be ready for a fight." That night, Olivia stood on the roof of her apartment building, looking up at the stars. Somewhere up there, the Galactic Council was laughing at the silly humans they had just put in their place. They thought the matter was settled, but they didn't understand humans very well. Telling humans they couldn't do something was the surest way to make them try harder. Restricting where they could go just made them more determined to explore. The Council had made a serious mistake. They had underestimated humanity, and someday they would regret it. Olivia smiled up at the night sky. The stars didn't seem distant anymore. They looked like destinations, like challenges, like a future. The Council thought they had contained a threat. What they had actually done was create one. 10 years passed since the day the aliens came to Earth. The world had changed, but not in the way the Galactic Council expected. On Mars, a hidden colony thrived beneath the red soil. People lived in underground tunnels and domes, working to make the planet livable. Similar secret bases existed on Europa and Titan. The Galactic Council thought humans were staying put in their little corner, playing by the rules. They were wrong. Lieutenant Commander Sofia Martinez stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant. At 34, she had risen quickly through the ranks of the space fleet that officially didn't exist. Her black hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform fit perfectly over her athletic frame. "Engine status?" she asked, looking at the main screen. "FTL drive is ready, Commander," said the young officer at the controls. Sophia nodded. "Begin final checks. We launch in 30 minutes. The Defiant was humanity's first true starship, built in secret using Dr. Russell's improved faster-than-light drive. Today would be its first real mission, a trip beyond Pluto to explore what lay beyond the boundary the Council had set. The ship hummed with energy as it prepared to launch from its hidden dock in an asteroid belt. Sophia walked around the bridge, checking each station. Her heart beat faster with a mix of excitement and fear. This mission was dangerous not just because of the new technology, but because if they were caught, it could mean war. "Message from Earth Command," said the communications officer. "Admiral Warren wishes us good luck." Sophia smiled. Olivia Warren had been promoted years ago, and now led the entire defense force. She had personally chosen Sophia for this mission. "Send back our thanks," Sophia said, "and tell her we won't let her down." The launch went smoothly. The Defiant slipped away from its hiding place and accelerated toward the edge of the solar system. The new drive worked perfectly, letting them travel faster than any human ship before. When they passed Neptune, everyone on the bridge grew quiet. They were approaching the boundary. "Any sign of Council monitoring stations?" Sophia asked. "Nothing. On scanners yet," replied the sensor officer. "Wait, I'm picking up something near Pluto." Sophia leaned forward. "Show me." The screen displayed a small object orbiting the distant dwarf planet. It was clearly not natural, a metallic sphere with strange markings. "Council technology," confirmed the science officer. "Appears to be some kind of monitoring device." "Can it see us?" Sophia asked. "I don't think so. We're running with stealth systems active." Sophia made a quick decision. "Change course. Let's get a closer look at that thing." The Defiant moved silently toward the alien device. As they got closer, they could see it better. It had antennas pointed toward Earth and appeared to be sending data somewhere. "Record everything," Sophia ordered. "Then prepare a probe to collect a sample." The crew worked efficiently. They launched a small robot that attached itself to the Council device and cut off a piece before returning to the ship. Just as the probe was coming back, alarms blared. "We've been spotted," shouted the sensor officer. "The device just sent out a strong signal." "Get us out of here," Sophia ordered. "Maximum speed." The Defiant jumped away just as a larger Council ship appeared. They had escaped, but now the Council knew something was up. Back on Earth, Chief Engineer Daniel Washington studied the piece of alien technology. His dark hands moved carefully over the strange metal as he tried to understand how it worked. "Amazing," he muttered. "Their power system is efficient but not as advanced as we thought." Daniel had been working on reverse engineering Council technology for years. Every tiny piece they could get helped humans catch up faster. "Can we use any of this?" asked Admiral Warren, who stood nearby watching. "Absolutely," Daniel nodded. "Their communication system has weaknesses we can exploit, and their power cells, I think we can improve on this design." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Council held its regular summit. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered in a massive hall on their homeworld of Xanthoria. A tall, thin alien with green skin and 4 arms stood at the center. "The report on human activity," he announced. "As predicted, they remain primitive and contained. They have built some small bases on other planets in their system, but show no signs of developing beyond our restrictions." Laughter rippled through the crowd. "Their technology advances slowly now," continued the speaker. "Our monitoring shows they are at least a century away from true space travel." More laughter. "I visited Earth myself," said another alien with red scales. "They are violent and emotional. I predict they will have a global war within 20 years and set themselves back even further." The Council members began making bets on how humans would destroy themselves. None of them knew about the Defiant or the piece of their technology now in human hands. None of them realized that every word they spoke was being recorded by a tiny, human listening device planted years ago. On Earth, Vice Admiral Jack Nelson listened to the recording with growing anger. As head of the newly formed Project Prometheus, it was his job to prepare for possible conflict with the Council. "They're laughing at us," he said to his team. "While we work day and night, they think we're primitives playing with rocks." The room was silent for a moment. "Good," said Admiral Warren, who had joined the meeting. "Let them laugh. Let them underestimate us. It will make things easier when the time comes." She turned to a large map showing secret human bases and ships scattered throughout the solar system. "How long until the new fleet is ready?" 5 years, Jack answered. "Maybe less with what Commander Martinez brought back." Olivia nodded. "Then, we have 5 years to prepare. The Council thinks we're weak and contained, but they don't understand humans. They don't understand that putting us in a cage just makes us more determined to break free." She looked at each person in the room. "When we're ready, we won't just break their rules. We'll break their power over every species they've ever restricted, and they won't be laughing then." Outside the window, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the land. In secret bases across the solar system, humans worked tirelessly, building ships, developing weapons, and preparing for a future the Council couldn't imagine. The warning had been given. The laughter would end soon, and the galaxy would never be the same. 5 years had passed since the Defiance mission. Humanity's secret space program had grown faster than anyone expected. Hidden shipyards built vessels with weapons and shields based on stolen Council technology. Colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan expanded underground, away from watching eyes. Dr. Lisa Hughes walked through the research station on Europa, checking readings on her tablet. At 38, she had spent the last 7 years on this icy moon studying how to use its vast oceans for resources. Her blonde hair was cut short for practicality, and her blue eyes were focused intently on her work. "Dr. Hughes," a voice called over the intercom. "You're needed in the communications room." When Lisa arrived, the station's security chief looked worried. "We've picked up unusual signals. Something big just entered Jupiter's orbit." They watched the screens as the object came into view. It wasn't human, and it wasn't one of the Council's regular patrol ships. This was something new. "Can you identify it?" Lisa asked. "Working on it," the communications officer said. "Wait, we're getting a message." A voice filled the room, speaking in rough English. "Attention, human outpost. This is Captain Vrex of the Wrecken Hunters. Your presence here violates Council law. Prepare to be eliminated." Lisa's blood ran cold. The Wrecken were one of the minor Council races, known for their aggression and desire to prove themselves to the larger Council. "Send a distress signal to Earth," Lisa ordered. "Tell them—" The station shook violently. Alarms blared. "They're firing on us," the security chief shouted. Lisa ran to the emergency protocol station. "Begin evacuation. Get everyone to the escape pods." Chaos erupted as the research team scrambled. More explosions rocked the station. Walls cracked as Europa's cold atmosphere began seeping in. Lisa worked frantically at a computer terminal. "I need to send the research data to Earth before it's lost," she told a colleague as they huddled in the communications room. The station shook again. A ceiling beam collapsed, crushing the man beside her. Lisa screamed but kept working. The data had to get through. "Upload complete," the computer announced just as another explosion tore through the wall. Lisa ran for the last escape pod, sealing herself inside and launching away from the crumbling station. Through the small window, she watched in horror as the Wrecken ship methodically destroyed the entire facility. On Earth, Admiral Olivia Warren received the distress call in the middle of the night. By morning, she stood in the emergency command center with Vice Admiral Nelson and President Kyle Bennett. "The attack was unprovoked," Olivia said, her voice tight with controlled anger. 43 of our people are dead. Only Dr. Hughes and 5 others escaped." "The Wrecken ship?" President Bennett asked. "Left Jupiter's orbit immediately after the attack," Jack Nelson replied. "Our nearest vessels couldn't reach them in time." The president turned to the large screen showing the solar system. "What is the Council saying about this?" A diplomatic officer stepped forward. "We received a message an hour ago. They claimed the attack was unauthorized and that the Wrecken acted without approval. But they won't punish them," Olivia said. It wasn't a question. "No, ma'am. They expressed regret, but said the matter is closed since we shouldn't have had a base on Europa anyway." The room fell silent. Finally, the president spoke. "Admiral Warren, is Project Prometheus ready?" Olivia took a deep breath. "Not fully, sir, but we're closer than the Council knows. Our fleet is operational. The new weapon systems have been tested. We're ready to show them what humanity can do." The president nodded slowly. "Then it's time. The Council had their chance for peace. They've chosen war instead." He looked around the room. "Deploy the fleet. Show the galaxy that humans aren't to be trifled with." 3 days later, Captain Samuel Rodriguez sat in the command chair of the UES Avenger, leading a squadron of 7 advanced warships. At 45, he was one of the most experienced officers in the fleet. His weathered face showed lines of both laughter and worry. "All ships report ready, Captain," his first officer said. "Good." Samuel nodded. "Set course for the Wrecken outpost near Saturn. Remember, this is a limited strike. We show our strength but avoid civilian casualties." The human fleet moved with precision that would have shocked the Council. Using technology, reverse-engineered by Daniel Washington and his team, they traveled faster than any Council ship could track them. The Wrecken never saw them coming. Samuel watched as his ship surrounded the small Wrecken outpost. "Open communications," he ordered. A confused Wrecken face appeared on screen. Their skin was gray and leathery, their eyes small and dark. "This is Captain Rodriguez of Earth. You attacked our research station on Europa 3 days ago. 43. Innocent scientists died," the Wrecken sneered. "Humans should learn their place." Samuel's voice remained calm. "We're about to show you exactly what our place is." He turned to his weapons officer. Target their weapons and propulsion systems only. Fire. Blue beams shot from the human ships, cutting through the Recon shields, like they weren't there. Their weapons platforms exploded one by one, their engines died. How? The Recon captain sputtered. Your weapons shouldn't be able to. Shouldn't, Samuel agreed. But they can. Send a message to your council. Tell them humanity is done being restricted. Tell them we know they laughed at us. Tell them no one is laughing now. Across the galaxy, the council received news of the human attack with shock. Emergency meetings were called. Panic spread among the species who had mocked humanity. Impossible, shouted a council leader, slamming all four of his fists down. They cannot have such technology. The monitoring stations showed nothing. An aide approached nervously. Sir, we've lost contact with several monitoring stations. It appears they were compromised years ago. Why weren't we told? The leader demanded. We didn't know until now. We've been checking all systems since the attack. The humans have been feeding us false data. They've been building, expanding, developing, all while we thought they were contained. In a quiet corner of the council chamber, a small blue-skinned alien named Vix watched with interest. His species, the Nari, had also been restricted by the council centuries ago. He slipped away and sent a coded message to others like him. It has begun, the message said. The humans have done what we could not. Prepare to join them. Back on Earth, Olivia Warren stood before the global broadcast system. Her face was solemn as she addressed not just humanity, but any council members who might be watching. For 10 years we accepted restrictions that were unjust. We watched as the council mocked us and bet on our destruction. Today we showed them their mistake. We are not contained. We are not controlled. And we are coming for those who thought they could cage humanity. She paused, her eyes fierce with determination. To any species out there who have also suffered under council rule, join us. The rebellion has begun. The news of humanity's attack on the Recon outpost spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The council, once so confident in their power, now faced a crisis. They quickly assembled a fleet of enforcer ships and sent them to blockade the Sol system. Their message was clear: humans must be contained at all costs. Commander Natalie Wilson watched from the bridge of her stealth ship as the council blockade formed. At 36, she had spent years training for this moment. Her red hair was tied back tightly, and her green eyes narrowed as she studied the enemy positions. They've placed ships at all major jump points, her navigator reported. Standard council formation. Natalie smiled slightly. Standard means predictable. Prepare the jump drives. We're going to show them what happens when you try to cage wild animals. Her small fleet of 10 ships had been hiding in the shadow of Pluto. They were the vanguard of humanity's resistance, specially designed for hit-and-run attacks. While the council believed they were successfully blocking humans inside their solar system, Natalie and her crew were about to slip past them and take the fight to enemy territory. All ships report ready, her communications officer said. Begin Operation Shadow Strike, Natalie ordered. Remember your targets. Council supply lines only. We want to hurt their operations, not kill civilians. The human ships vanished into hyperspace using jump coordinates that the council thought impossible to calculate. They reappeared light years away, behind enemy lines. Over the next month, Natalie's fleet struck council supply ships and depots across 3 sectors of space. They appeared without warning, disabled their targets with surgical precision, and disappeared before reinforcements could arrive. After each attack, they broadcast the same message to nearby systems. Humanity will not be contained. Join us and be free. Many listening were species who had faced similar restrictions from the council. Some had been bound to their home systems for centuries, told they were too violent or unstable to join galactic society. They watched humanity's rebellion with growing hope. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Alan Russell and Chief Engineer Daniel Washington worked frantically to complete their most ambitious project yet. The laboratory deep beneath the Rocky Mountains hummed with energy as they conducted their final tests. Power levels stable, Daniel reported, his fingers flying over the controls. His once dark hair was now streaked with gray after years of pushing human technology beyond what anyone thought possible. Alan nodded, adjusting his glasses. At 65, he had devoted his life to advancing human science. "Initiate Phase 3, he said. The massive device in the center of the lab glowed, blue then purple, then a color neither man had seen before. The air around it shimmered. "It's working," Alan whispered. "The shield disruptor is working." Daniel grinned. "The Council won't know what hit them. Their ships rely on those shields. Without them, they're vulnerable." Alan finished. "Get Admiral Warren on the line. Tell her Project Starbreaker is ready." Far from Earth, Major Peter Johnson moved silently through the corridors of the Council headquarters on Xanthoria. At 40, he was one of Earth's best infiltration specialists. His face was forgettable by design, altered with subtle surgeries, to help him blend in anywhere. He wore the uniform of a minor council aide, stolen weeks ago. The Council believed their headquarters impenetrable. They were wrong. Humans had been placing spies in their ranks for years, gathering information, and waiting for the right moment. Peter reached a secured door and placed a small device against the lock. The Council's security system was advanced, but human hackers had been studying it for a decade. The door slid open silently. Inside was the Council's central archive, where they kept records of every decision, every species assessment, every restriction ever placed. Peter connected his data device to the main terminal and began the download. What he found shocked even him. The files revealed a pattern spanning thousands of years. Any species showing unusual adaptability or military potential was labeled dangerous and restricted to their home systems. Their development was stunted, their resources limited, all while the dominant Council races grew fat on the galaxy's wealth. Worse, he found evidence of direct sabotage. The Council had deliberately caused conflicts between promising species, ensuring they destroyed each other before becoming threats. "They've been doing this for millennia," Peter murmured as he downloaded file after file. "We're just the latest victims." His communicator vibrated softly. The signal meant he had to leave immediately. Taking the data device, he slipped out of the archives and headed toward his extraction point. By the time Peter returned to Earth with his evidence, the rebellion had spread. Admiral Olivia Warren stood in the Global Command Center, surrounded by screens showing battles across a dozen star systems. "The Nari have joined us," reported her intelligence officer. "Their ships have engaged Council forces in the Rigel sector." "The Droxians, too," added another. "They've freed 3 of their colony worlds from Council control." Olivia nodded, her face solemn. At 52, she carried the weight of not just humanity's future, but now that of many species. "And our losses." The Jakarta was destroyed near Alpha Centauri. "The Beijing and Cairo took heavy damage, but will recover." She closed her eyes briefly, honoring the fallen. Then she turned to the holographic map showing the galaxy's major powers. Nearly a third of them now glowed green, indicating they had joined the human-led alliance. "The Council is fracturing," Vice Admiral Jack Nelson observed. "Some of their own members are questioning their leadership." "They should," said Major Johnson, who had just arrived with his stolen data. "Wait until they see what the Council has been doing to all of us." The evidence was broadcast across all channels to every world that could receive the signal. Council atrocities, manipulations, and lies laid bare for all to see. Species that had been enemies discovered they had been played against each other deliberately. Ancient grudges gave way to shared outrage. Inside the Council chamber, chaos erupted. Delegates shouted accusations at the senior members. Some stormed out, declaring their worlds independent. Others called for reform, for a new system of governance. "This cannot stand," bellowed the High Counselor, a tall being with metallic skin. "The humans must be punished, their rebellion crushed." But fewer voices joined his call than before. More and more Council members realized that the humans had exposed a truth many had suspected, but feared to confront. A delegate from a small, long-restricted world stood up. "Perhaps," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. Instead of punishing the humans, we should listen to them. They have done in a decade what many of us feared to do for centuries. They refused to accept their cage. The chamber fell silent. Then another delegate stood, and another. The rebellion that had begun with humanity was becoming a revolution. Across the galaxy, ships from dozens of species gathered. Some had been enemies for generations, but now they formed a single fleet. At its center were the advanced vessels of Earth, led by the flagship UES Unity. Admiral Warren looked out at the assembled armada from the Unity's bridge. "Send the message," she said quietly. The message flashed to every ship. "We move on Xanthoria. Tomorrow, not for vengeance, but for freedom. The Council's time has ended." The combined fleet of Earth and its allies gathered at the edge of the Xanthorian system. Over 300 ships from 27 species formed a force unlike any the galaxy had seen before. At the center was the UES Unity, humanity's flagship, and the command center for the entire operation. Fleet Admiral Olivia Warren stood on the bridge, looking at the tactical display. Her hair was completely gray now, but her eyes still burned with the same determination they had shown 15 years ago when the Council first tried to cage humanity. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said her communications officer. Olivia nodded. "Open a channel to the entire fleet." When the connection was established, she spoke clearly and calmly. "This is Fleet Admiral Warren. Today we fight not for revenge, but for freedom. The Council has kept us all separated and weak for too long. They laughed at us, they underestimated us, and today they will answer for that mistake. Remember our goal: minimal casualties. We want change, not destruction." She paused, looking around at her human crew and the alien representatives who stood with them on the bridge. The Council thought they could contain humanity's spirit. They failed. Now we show them that the spirit of freedom cannot be contained in any species. Move out. The massive fleet jumped into the Xanthorian system, appearing around the Council's homeworld in a perfect sphere formation. On the planet below, alarms sounded as the Council's defense forces scrambled to respond. "Council fleet approaching," reported the Unity's sensor officer. 150 vessels. They're forming a defensive line between us and the planet. Before the Council ships could fire, Olivia gave the order. "Deploy the shield disruptors." Dr. Alan Russell and Daniel Washington had created something the Council thought impossible. The purple energy wave surged out from the human ships, washing over the Council fleet. Their advanced shields, the technology they had relied on for centuries, flickered and died. On the bridge of the lead Council ship, panic erupted. "Shields are down. All ships report the same. How is this possible?" The Council admirals stared in disbelief at the readings. Without their superior shields, they had lost their main advantage. The species they had dismissed as primitive had just neutralized their greatest strength. Commander Sofia Martinez, now captain of the UES Defiant, led the next phase of the attack. Her ship shot forward, followed by a wing of smaller vessels. "Execute. Maneuver Omega," she ordered. The human ship split into two groups, swinging around to divide the Council fleet. It was a risky move, one that required perfect timing and coordination. The Council ships tried to regroup, but they weren't used to fighting without their shields. Their formation broke apart in confusion. Sophia's voice was calm as she gave commands, guiding her ships through the chaos. They fired precision shots, disabling engines and weapon systems without destroying the vessels themselves. In the Council's grand chamber on Xanthoria, the High Council watched the battle unfold. With mounting horror, their impenetrable defenses were falling one by one. "How did it come to this?" whispered an elder counselor. "They were supposed to be contained." The head of the Council, a being called Zorthal, turned to his advisors. "Prepare my escape ship. This is not over." But as he moved to leave, the doors to the chamber burst open. Major Peter Johnson walked in, followed by a team of humans and aliens. Among them was Vix, the Nari who had first answered humanity's call for allies. "Going somewhere?" Peter asked, his weapon raised. "The Council's time of running from consequences has ended." Outside, the battle was turning decisively in favor of the Alliance. The remaining Council ships, seeing their leaders' defenses crumbling, began to surrender one by one. Admiral Warren's voice came through all channels once more. All Council forces, your shields are down. Your leadership is surrounded. Cease fire immediately and no more lives need be lost today. Aboard the Unity, Olivia watched as the Council fleet powered down their weapons. A mixture of relief and determination filled her. They had won the battle, but the real challenge was just beginning. Hours later, the leaders of the Alliance gathered in the Council chamber. The High Counselors sat subdued, their once absolute power now broken. Olivia stepped forward, representing Earth. Beside her stood representatives from each allied species, the blue-skinned Nari, the four-armed Jexans, the crystalline Pelori, and many others who had suffered under Council restrictions. For too long, the Council has decided which species were dangerous and which were safe, Olivia began. You feared our potential, so you tried to cage us. You laughed at our primitive technology, never realizing we were learning from you. All along, she looked at each Council member. We could destroy you now. That's what you feared we would do, isn't it? That's why you restricted humanity and so many others. Because you believed we would be as cruel in victory as you were in power. The chamber was silent. The Council members looked down, unable to meet her gaze. But we are not here for revenge, Olivia continued. We are here to build something new. A galactic alliance where all species have a voice. Where advancement is not feared but celebrated. Where cooperation replaces control. She turned to her allies. Humanity was called dangerous. We were, but not in the way the Council feared. We were dangerous to their system of oppression. We were dangerous because we refused to accept artificial limits on our potential. And we recognize that same spirit in all of you. The representatives from the other species nodded. Many had fought against humans in the past, believing the Council's warnings. Now they stood together as allies. The Council's time has ended, declared Vix of the Nari, but we do not seek to become the new oppressors. We offer you a choice. Join us in building something better, or face justice for your crimes. In the days that followed, a new system began to take shape. The old Council was dissolved. A new galactic alliance formed, with representatives from all species given equal voice. Some former Council members chose to join, humbled by their defeat. Others faced trials for their actions. 1 month after the battle, Olivia stood on a balcony, overlooking the new Alliance headquarters. The building incorporated architectural elements from all member species, a physical representation of their united strength. Daniel Washington joined her, looking out at the sunset over Xanthoria's capital, city. Did you ever imagine it would end like this? He asked. Olivia smiled softly. Not exactly like this, but I always knew humanity wouldn't stay in the cage they built for us. They really thought they could contain us. Daniel shook his head. They really laughed at us. Yes, Olivia nodded. But no one's laughing now. Instead, they're learning from us, and we're learning from them. That's how it should have been from the beginning. In the chamber below, representatives from 100 worlds discussed trade agreements, scientific cooperation, and mutual defense. Former enemies worked together on solutions to shared problems. The galaxy was changing, growing, evolving, just as humanity had always done. The Council had warned that humans were dangerous. They were right. Humanity had proven dangerous to oppression, dangerous to stagnation, dangerous to the old order. And in doing so, they had freed not just themselves, but an entire galaxy.